So tell me your name, a little about you. Where are you? What do you do? When did you get to TikTok? Just a little recap of your whole entire life in 15 seconds.
Sure. My name is Saadia Mirza. I was born in New Orleans, raised in Houston. I was raised a Republican because my grandparents were immigrants from Pakistan. But as I was growing up, I realized that that's not something I fall into. So that was my coming out moment. Like, hey, I'm not a conservative. I'm a liberal, and I started making political videos in college back in the George W. days. I was actually put on the what do you call it, the watch list for flying because some of that stuff got to TV and they didn't like it very much, I guess. So that was fun.
What kind of videos? Like the ones you do now with the words?
No, so back then I'm actually not a fan of being in front of the camera. I went to school for radio, television, film production.
Right.
So I really enjoyed creating like artful pieces. So they were like, mixing and splicing in videos from the past, videos from now with music, and it was more of an art form for me. So I started with that, and I got a little bit more and more active, and I guess I got a little, on autopilot when the Obama administration was in power because I just felt like things weren't going to get as bad as they were now. And then TikTok, I resisted for a long time as a social media platform, even though I have a marketing company. I was like, I don't want to touch this
Right,
thing.
when I looked you up, I was like, she's in marketing, and like you.
I actually resisted TikTok for a long time and I picked it up during quarantine. I think most of us did because I had nothing to do except stare at my parents' face. And then I come upstairs and stare at the wall and then go back downstairs and repeat. So the reason I resisted TikTok is because it was just so much like it's loud and there's people talking and there's so much going on. And I was like, I wish I could just because you're in Zoom meeting. I'm for my businesses, I'm mostly in Zoom meetings all day. So I was like, I wish I could just mute some of these videos and get the message, or I'll save them and then I have like 500 saved and I'm going through them slowly. So I was like, I wish there was a way you can get these messages across kind of like memes where the words are there, but if you turn it on, it can have fun music to it. So that was kind of the idea behind the first video. And I also I'm a little partial to people who are audio impaired. I've got a couple friends that are audio impaired. I too cannot properly hear out of my left ear. Big, from the rough patch, we'll just put it that way. It was
Okay.
a nice little souvenir,
All right.
if
I
you
don't
will.
need, I don't want to bring up anything that, you
Oh
know.
no, it's all good. But so I'm a little partial to making sure that even people that don't have the ability to fully hear the message, they can maybe see it as well. Your messaging's great, it gets out, and that's the thing. I mean, you can be super passionate like we are about our message, but if nobody sees it, it's kind of like screaming into a void. Like what's the so that's the virality component about getting your views out on TikTok that I really, really liked. And I was like, anybody, if you say the right message and it's received the right way, I would say majority of that app is Gen Z, and then the millennials kind of snuck in, and then everybody else kind of snuck in. But how do we speak to this new generation of voters? How do we speak to these people that have never probably voted in a local election or understand how Congress works or how a bill goes through? Let's utilize this great form of social media and make it in a way that, I mean, some of the videos are super fast, right? Like there's a lot of pointing or there's like a huge bill that you have to stop and read, but they're willing to do that for some reason on TikTok because it's got the TikTok name on it
Right.
versus an article if I was to email it to them. I think watch time is the most important right now. So if you've got 10 seconds, find a way to hook people in for 10 seconds. And of course, using catchy music, even if you like have it really, really low, but if there's a trend going on and you use that, and those are the kinds of things I think we need to do as, like you said, you're trying to, mobilize people. This is how I think we'll utilize the strengths of TikTok, but also get the proper messaging out, explain to people how the process works, and keep them engaged. I feel like politics gets boring because it becomes irrelevant. And it really makes a huge impact on your life from when you're in school to when you're buying your house. Every decision, I tell people vote for your local dog catcher. We have a constable here from our area who's a super, Trumper, and he was a super racist down here too. And I kept telling people, you better vote against him. He's in Congress now, so he's worked his way up from sheriff to a police officer to sheriff to constable, and now he's everybody else's headache to deal with. So it's important to stay engaged at every level.
Wait, where in Texas are you again?
So I'm in a suburb of Houston. So Houston is broken up into different areas. I'm in the Sugarland suburb.
Mhm.
So I believe his name was Troy Nels. So Troy Nels is now everybody's problem. So it starts local and it heads up. So you got to stop the growth of situations that you see that could potentially be long-term damaging to
Right.
our society. So
That's why I automatically wanted to run for something. I saw the woman, actually, believe it or not, somebody told me I should run for something like 2 years ago. And I was like, girl, I'm too old. But
you
I
are
like
not.
the idea. No, I am, but it's fine. No judgment on myself. Um, but I think the idea that the dog catcher thing is, the perfect place to get people to understand that, there's nothing too small when it comes to politics. If you're going to make a career out of this, it's not like Donald Trump, who started out as freaking president. You know what I mean? So, you want people to really understand the process and get their feet wet from the whole from the bottom up. I think.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, your cop over there took that to heart and succeeded.
Fortunately, yes. I can't wait to see so many political TikTokers seeing where they are now and seeing what they do, like, in the near future. I really do think that this is a great way to, I don't think it's, necessarily time for commercials and stuff. You see like Ilhan Omar and, John Ossoff, everybody, they're coming to TikTok and we're doing it the other way around. We have our community already built here and now we can get the voice out. So
Right.
it's
And I
exciting.
think, have you noticed celebrities creeping in now a little more and more?
Yes. Or
Like,
they'll comment on your post and you're like, I didn't even know you were here. Like, who are you?
part of me feels like that's like, this is our space. You have everything. You have Instagram, bye.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I feel like the thing that's been and I say this to everyone, so I say it to everyone, and I think everyone should hear it. The thing is, everyone's voice matters. And that only was really true here.
Yep.
And when like the Rosie O'Donnells and they start coming in, they're actually just promoting themselves, whereas we're just finding our voice and
Right.
having like a very personal experience
Yeah.
that I think is invaluable of all the different ages. Like, I have such a diverse group of followers. It's unbelievable. Like, I have a kid that's going to be he's going to be Kenny. I don't know if you follow him. He's going to be graduating high school in time to vote in the 22 election.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like this little kid from Rochester, New York, and whatever. But he's like really passionate. He's like, you got to just love young people who care about politics. You
Yes.
know, just to go circle back to my first experience with politics was the war in Vietnam was raging, and they were, you know, people were being drafted, and guys that you were just kind of being on a date with or something. Not me, but let's say somebody your age on a date would have to go off to fucking war. You know what I mean? It was like America was a totally different America, because at that time it was also Black Panthers and the JDL. I mean, there was like the streets were like hot. You know what I mean? With passion and fury and whatever. But all the students around the country were marching and boycotting class because of the moratorium to end the war in Vietnam. I was like in 8th grade. So like I stopped everybody from going into my grammar school, and that was like my first experience with like caring about what that's going on around me. And I think it wasn't until really till this election that we see so many young people and the Gen Z really smart. They're so smart.
They're very, and I wonder if that's because they have more access to information. Like when I don't know about you, but we rolled out the computer to get on the internet with the AOL CDs. That was my first experience with the internet. And then, Facebook was invite only and YouTube was barely like a cat video. And it wasn't the type of cat videos we see now. I wonder if it's this transmission of information that's become faster And that works against us too, because then there's conspiracy theories. I feel like conspiracy theories, a lot of them are just dumb people trying to feel smart. But I feel like overall, that I think that the trend and the fact that they are not hung up on little things, and they are allowed to, feel safe if they they don't feel like this is my gender. I was born in, a different body. I feel like they're feel more safe, because I don't think that many of my friends that were gay growing up in high school, that was like a hush hush. Like, we're not supposed to talk about that.
Oh, I
And I
didn't come out like, I mean, I kind of came out when I was 19, but I didn't stop like feeling that I had to play both ends against the middle until I was like 26.
Yeah, and then you had to put up with certain slurs, like that were supposed to be okay. Like, I don't ever use the F word, but when derogatory towards people who, like I said, it affected people in such a negative way that I think they felt scared to share information. And now that the society is opening up and certain things aren't a big deal anymore, right? Like, if you have a classmate that's gay in fifth grade, doesn't matter now. It's not like it used to be. And I think they can focus on bigger things, and that's and they're being directly impacted by no gun laws, right? Like, and they're having to learn how to prepare for a school shooting.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, we had tornado drills, not school shooter drills.
We only had fire drills, and that was like, you know, whatever, that's it. We never had any, you never thought that school was a place of danger.
Yeah.
After Pulse, the shooting in Orlando, I started the LA chapter of Gays Against Guns, and we kind of would do all these activations to kind of, whatever. But then Trump came in, and that whole thing just went, he destroyed so much of what was happening with the gun, anti-gun violence movement, which I feel now that because we're all, no one's in school, there's not a lot of, you don't see the Mothers Against Gun Violence out in the streets now. But, that's what, around the corner when we get back into the world.
I think
And with the
today,
the cuckoos now that are going to come crawling out of their mother's basement after
yeah,
COVID.
I think today there was a school shooting today. As we're starting, I think today on CNN, like think I saw it earlier in the afternoon. I think there was one person, and I was just like, "We're starting this shit again? Are you kidding me? Like, I don't understand what part about the Second Amendment. Like, you guys don't read the full sentence. You just the right to bear arms, but you forgot the second half in a well-regulated militia. Do you know what any of those words mean?
No, they don't.
It's I guess the same way that they quote the Bible and other religious texts. You pick and choose what you want to, take them out of context to fit your narrative, and at the end of the day, there's kids dying because of your selfish choices. I wish you would protect a child's life the way you protect an inanimate gun, and it's I think it's going to start
Or
with
an
this.
embryo while we're at it.
Yeah, love those clumps of cells. Like, they'd be surprised to know what happens when miscarriages go down. Like, I don't know. Are women responsible for that as well when miscarriages happen? Because that happens quite frequently.
How about if
So
you just get your period? Could that have been a maybe? Who knows if you had a boyfriend and you had
you didn't take care of the what do you call it, the egg quick enough. So now you're
so yeah, I think that there is a lot of goodness to be able to be harnessed. That's the mission. And that's just what we're gonna do.
so thank you for your time. I really, really admire you and everything that you do, and I'm looking forward to seeing what
Back
goes
at
on.
you. Back at you. Take care, honey.
You too.